So today, just casually going unbeaten with a 0 creature janky brew that destroys our opponents with their own chunky creatures and our very synergistic deck. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today I'm destroying my opponents with their own creatures, and this janky deck is so much fun to play. I couldn't not show this deck that I use on the ladder. Firstly though, if you'd all be so kind as to drop a like on the video and subscribe below, and I'm back on Twitch, so you can find me over there too, link is in the comments below. But onto this deck, and our game plan today is stealing our opponent's creatures. Now, there are many spells that do this, but today I've gone for the cheapest options in 3 mana Furnace Reins, Take for a Ride, and Bloody Betrayals. Once stolen, we need to attack with them and then sacrifice them for some value. So I'm using Journals and Soulrippers to do just that. The Journals draw cards and the Soulrippers are vehicles that hit very hard. Both destroy the creature and both are vital in our game plan today. Other ways to sacrifice creatures are with Annihilating Glare and Corrupted Convictions. They're just so cheap that they're totally viable when you've nabbed one of their chunky dinos. I've even snuck in a copy of Ob Nixilis, allowing us to casualty their creature, but for 3 mana this is very much a late game play. So what happens if our opponents don't have creatures or are going very wide? Well, we have 2 other win cons today. Firstly, our main one in Urabrask's Forge. They pair so well with Tarrian's Journals, drawing cards, dealing continuous damage. I've also got Virtues. You'll see how great these are in the late game to reanimate the creatures that we've just stolen and sacrificed, then sacrifice them again and repeat. It's a great little value loop that you can make once you get to 7 mana. Other interaction for us today include Go for the Throats and Deadly Cover-Ups as our get out of jail cards. Got 25 lands and that is today's deck. So as rotation is happening relatively soon, I've put together a small guide here to show some alternatives. Obviously we don't know what's coming in Bloomburrow, but here are some viable alternatives that you can sub in and out. Stay tuned to the end when I'll go over the stats and general thoughts I had, and I've also just started my Patreon. Patreon is a great way to support the channel further. You will have access to a secret part of my Discord where I can help you with your decks, and most importantly, Patreon is where I post unseen footage from testing. I've got a lot of very janky combos and gameplay that never make it to YouTube, so you can check them out over there. Link is in the description below, and a shout out to my current credit level patrons. It does though go without saying, I really appreciate all the support that this channel receives. Now off to my games. Alright then, on the play. And I'm really kind of liking this hand. If we can find a 3rd mana sooner rather than later, I'm pretty excited for this one. We have our Soulripper, which is a card I really love. It's a card I've used a little bit before. I've never seen anyone else use it, but it works really well when you're stealing your opponent's cards. They look like they're on an Orzhov deck. And Forge for us. Forge with our Take for the Ride, our Soulripper. I mean, our hand is sweet here. Good start for us here. Opponent with Cavern of Souls naming Human, and that's Campbell, Profiteering Mare. Played a deck a couple of days ago with that card. I'll link it up in the description here. But we'll just steal it, crew up our Soulripper, and smash our opponent here, sacrificing Campbell. And take the opponent down to 11. Alright, I mean, that was a nice turn for us there. We have another Take for the Ride. Hopefully they play a 4-drop here, 4-drop creature. And they do in Elesh Norn, okay. Alright, well, we'll use our Betrayal here. We'll steal their Elesh Norn. And yeah, we could attack with Elesh Norn, but it's better to crew up our Soulripper. Way more damage, and we get a chance to sacrifice the Norn. Takes the opponent down to 2, and no matter what they do, we're just going to steal any creatures they've got. Plus we have an Urabrask Forge, and they scoop it up, and that is the perfect game for our deck. Alright then, on the play. Hand looks pretty nice. Be keeping this. We have no creatures in our deck, so we're not going to have one of those in our opening hand. We do find a Journal turn 2 though, which is perfect for us. It's our best turn 2 play here. Looks like we're up against mono black. We have 2 ways to steal our opponent's creatures. 2 ways to steal this Flesh Gorger that they've just played. Unfortunately, it does have Ward 3 life, so we're going to take some damage to do that, but we can swing back in with the Flesh Gorger and gain our life back. We can always use the Corrupted Conviction if we want. We'll use Betrayal though. Corrupted Conviction would draw us 2 cards. but we might as well use the free spell in the journal here. Sack this Flesh Gorger, draw a card, Mirrex land. Okay, this is a decent start for us as they play Shelly, and we're just going to take that on this turn as well with Take for the Ride. So yeah, this is exactly what our deck's trying to do. There will be a time where we run out of the stealing spells, but hopefully we can find a Forge or something akin to that to make sure we see out the game as we find a Furnace Reins. Okay, I mean, hopefully they drop a 5-drop or another 4-drop here. Aklazots. Okay, opponent, we'll take that one too with Furnace Reins this time. Surely they've had enough of this. Yeah. Oh, then unsurprisingly, they scoop it up. Alright then, on the draw here, apart from a slightly awkward land situation, the hand's pretty nice. Looking for our Soulripper or Journal as a constant way to sacrifice creatures. That works really well with our Forge, so probably the Journal is the card we want. We also need a 3rd mana, and we just need the opponent not to go too crazy on the board. So lots to ask as they drop a Boros land. And they play Pianala. Love Pianala, but sorry opponent, the card needs to go. It's going to be too good for us to face. Luckily we drew the Go for the Throat. We are out of gas though, so need a land next turn for this Forge. Opponent did plot a card there. It is a Terror. Okay, that is going to be a nice dragon for us to steal in the next couple of turns, so they will not see that one coming as we get to play Forge and attack and start the beatdown. Absolutely loving this deck. It's a takes me back to an older deck I played, but we've changed up the cards slightly to incorporate some newer ones. And yeah, we'll just keep beating down. We have Mirrex now, so we can start making 1/1s, which we can attack with, but we can also sacrifice with to draw us some cards. So this is a nice start for us here. If they want to play their dragon, we're just going to steal it and then use our conviction to sacrifice it. But they just play land and pass. They're actually a Jeskai deck. And another stealing spell. So yeah, I mean, what else is there to do here but keep attacking? Okay, they've got a Lightning Helix for our 3/1. Well, I'm going to sacrifice it with one of our convictions here. Draw a couple of cards, but take them off their 3 life gain as we fizzle their spell. And I guess second Mirrex is nice. I'm wondering if they've just got a load of removal in their hand. Well, they have Quintoria's canned, so... Okay, they've gone straight for the Discover. What are they going to discover into? Is Invasion of Gobakan. I'm not concerned about that in the slightest. Only problem is it gains them a little bit of life, but it more importantly shows them what we're actually doing. But we have Mirrex available. Them using the Quintorius there to discover, it does leave Quintorius slightly vulnerable. They do play their Terror here to drain for 2, but they can see our hand. I mean, they know we're going to steal it. Right? I mean, they'll probably be forced to do that, but they can see what's going on. It's, do we, you know, I mean, we're going to steal the Terror anyway. The question is, do we Annihilating Glare the Terror? I mean, we want to play a land, don't we, to increase the power. Or do we just attack Quintorius with our 1/1? One of our 1/1s. Well, I certainly want to do as much damage to the opponent's face as possible. And we do need to sacrifice this Terror, so we might as well just use the Annihilating Glare whilst we have a target available. So we will take care of Quintorius, sacking the Terror. Alright, I mean, they're on 11. We have a Forge. We have some Mirrex tokens. We're in a really good spot here. We're just going to steal whatever they play if they play another big creature. Aruth, Tormented Prophet. Alright. Their deck's sweet. It's a little combo kind of exile style deck. But too many one of creatures that we can just take. So they're going to go down to 2 now. And again, they've got this Forge that's going to come at them. We're going to sacrifice Eruth here, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be dead. They need to gain an awful lot of life very quickly. And it's a second copy of Eruth. And that should mean they're dead. They're dead to just the Forge tokens. They don't have any cards left in their hand. GG's opponent. Okay, on the play here. Our Tarrian's Journal. Take for a Ride combo there. So, yep, nice start for us. Deadly cover up. A good way to get us back in the game. But definitely dropping our Journal here. Opponent with a Forest. Into Forest, okay. If they're going to play just some big green creatures, that's the kind of deck I'm preying on today. Fight Rigging, sure. Which suggests they are playing some big green creatures, so not really an issue here. We'll just bide our turn, and there's our Forge, which is our win con. So, yep, this is fantastic so far. We'll just keep plugging away with our tokens here, sacrificing them second main. Beautiful. Alright, Invasion of Zendikar, sure. So they're ramping. They could have played like a Hammer Skull there, but that would have been fine. We'll get in there with our Forge token, sacrifice in case we have something like a tap land or something here. Another Journal, okay. Well, Journals are pretty bad in multiples, they're legendary. So yeah, we'll just wait for them to play a creature. Green Sun's Twilight, eh? Okay, not a card you see often. They find a Titan, sure. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. So they're going after our Forge, which is fair enough for them. They're not putting a shield token on the Titan. We could steal that next turn. So we could steal the Titan, but then they would be left with a 4/4 to take care of their land. Let's just get rid of Titan for the minute. That would have also enabled their Fight Rig, and that would have been probably just a little bit too much for us to handle. And we can always take this 5/5. But then we're at the whim of them having a big creature. I think what we'll do is we'll just wait, and we'll just see what they're going to do here. I'm looking for something like a Galter that I can steal, not a 5/5 token. Another Courtyard for our opponent. And into Atali, okay. Alright, well, Atali is potentially annoying. Just trying to think what to do here. So our Take for the Ride is going to have Flash if we just go for the Throat Atali. Yeah, I was... Okay, maybe I should have just waited on that to see what they go into here. I was a little bit trigger happy there. Invasion of Ixalan, okay, that's fine. Yeah, probably should have let Atali trigger. I still would have killed it anyway. I just don't want them to pop off with Fight Rigging just yet. That is Zopendrel. And we can always go for the Throat, this 5/5. We can steal the 5/5 if we want to right now. Okay, we'll let that resolve. I was going to take for the Ride that card. We'll see what they want to attack. They're just going for our face, so I guess we can just take 6 and hit them back with that next turn. Okay, second steal spell. So we'll just gain control of this 6/6, smash our opponent with it, and then we have go for the Throat available now if they have something big for the Fight Rigging. But we'll see how this one goes. Another Take for the Ride is going to be nice. Opponent down to 13. 2 Take for the Rides means we can actually double spell. So if they play 2 creatures, Atali re-enters the fray. Okay. See what they find. They find one of our Forges. Alright. That is a really good one for them. Another Invasion of Zendikar. Sure. So the problem here is Fight Rigging. They're going to get a trigger here off Atali, becoming an 8/8. Let's see what's underneath this Fight Rigging then. It's a Topiary Stomper, alright. I mean, that could be way worse. So we can do, what, 12 damage to them next turn? We'll just take the Stomp here. And we'll shoot them with their own Atali. And that is a Haunted Ridge, okay. Furnace Reins, sure. I mean, we'll just take their Atali and hit them back with it. And then we can sacrifice it. And now we have 2 take for a ride. They're on 5 life, so we should be okay in this game. Their fight rigging's already happened. We find Swamp. And yeah, we'll pass the turn. We have Deadly Cover Up in case it goes crazy out there, but we're just going to steal whatever they do. Cogler for the Journal. Fair enough. And another Atali. That is the 3rd Atali we faced here today. Into Stomper. They find another one of our Forges. Alright, well, we have Lethal. But yeah, I mean, maybe that could have been played slightly differently, but we're going to get there in the end with our 2 take for a rides. Opponent's not going to be able to do anything about this one. And yeah, our deck is pretty powerful against these massive mono green or Gruul style creature decks. Alright then, on the play here, and apart from our slightly awkward lands, this isn't too bad. Going to need a sacrifice outlet, our vehicle or our journal, but this isn't too bad. Case of the Uneaten Feast for our opponent. Alright, that suggests definitely a Lifegain deck. So it will be fine if they can just play some big creatures. If they play lots of little creatures, we may have a slight issue. But we have the Deadly Cover Up here. Elas Il Core for them. And we have our Blackcleave Cliffs. Okay, so we could steal one of their creatures and attack them back. But it's not worth it. What we're looking for them is to play another creature, so we can steal this one, and then we can Annihilating Glare and take care of both of their creatures. So let's hopefully they play. Let's hope they play a 2-drop here. They do. They play Amalia. Okay. So this isn't bad for us. We're going to take a small hit here from Elas Il Core. That is Feast of the Victorious Dread. Okay. So I'm not entirely sure these days what Lifegain plays. I don't play the deck myself. So we're just going to deal with whatever's on the board and not worry too much about what's coming. We'll definitely take Amalia though, attack them for 4, and then we can sacrifice this and we can destroy this creature and their Elas Il Core. So we'll sack our Amalia, or their Amalia, and then take care of their creatures. So that's fine. We've cleared up the board slightly, but we are out of action ourselves. Feast of the Victorious Dread onto the battlefield. Okay, a card you don't see often. Voice of the Blessed, sure. And Sulfurous Springs. Right, so I think we're not going to want to steal their creature. We'll just attack them with Vents here. And hopefully we can draw into something good for next turn. We're in no rush. That wasn't great. A couple of Go for the Throats though can clear any big threats, and we want to deal with the voice before it becomes indestructible. Gix enters the battlefield, okay. So not bad, and not bad for them. Scoured Barons, so they're certainly making a large Voice of the Blessed here, but we're going to have a opportunity here to either blow up the board or steal one of their creatures here. Annihilating Glare, alright, we can just do what we did earlier. This time, I guess we... I mean, if we take Voice and attack, they might just block, but I think I want the card draw from Gix. So we'll take Gix, and we'll just smash for 3, and we'll just do the whole Annihilating Glare trick here. Plus we get to draw a card, which is pretty sweet. Take care of Voice, sack their Gix. But they're on 11, we're on 9. Need our Urabrask Forge to help us see out this game quickly. And we've taken a lot of incremental damage here. I guess we can just use our blood token here. We don't really need this board wipe as it stands. Corrupted Conviction and land. Oh, deck. Alright, well, we'll get in there with the vents. Maybe could have held that land back in my hand to discard right now, because we're just going to have to discard a Go for the Throat, potentially. Yeah, I think that card can go. And another Deadly Cover-Up. Alright, well, we're certainly finding all of our removal. And is this just going to be a case of us killing them with the Restless Vents as they play a Lunarch Veteran to gain some more life? Can we race the Lifegain deck with our deck relying on them playing creatures? We have a couple of other ways to win the game in our deck. There's a Takenuma. So we'll just get in there with the land again. Haunted Ridge. Okay, we're certainly flooding out a bit here. So we need Urabrask Forge, or we need a Virtue of Persistence. We have the 7 mana available now, or we can just keep smashing away with our 2 lands. But their Mirrex token is going to cause a slight issue here, so let's get rid of the Lunarch Veteran so that they don't start gaining 4 life a turn. And Mirrex could be the card that takes us out. I did think about putting Field of Ruin in the deck, because creature lands are or Mirrex is a problem for our deck, but I didn't. Corrupted Conviction. Alright, it might be a case where we have to just convict our Restless Vents here just to try and draw into something. I didn't really want to do this, but okay, well, there's a Virtue. Alright. Well, Virtue's nice. Let's get rid of this Phantom. If anything, it gains us 3 life back. And then we can drop the Virtue next turn, and we can just start nabbing their creatures from their graveyard. And if we can do that, we might be able to just start killing them with their threats. So, not a bad card for us to draw there. That's why it's in the deck, but Mirrex and their Case of the Uneaten Feasts are certainly keeping them alive. And are we just going to have to take a turn off to take one of their creatures? Going to have to do it at some point, so let's go for it. Virtue of Persistence. And play land, and we'll say go. How much can they do for us this turn? Because next turn we can take probably Elasilcore for the minute. Maybe start gaining some life back ourselves. Voice will be nice, but I think it might be better if we start off with Elasilcore. In fact, I like all their cards. I'm not too fussed about Amalia. Ooh, another Virtue. Yeah, shame we didn't take the Voice now. We've got the second Virtue, but Virtue is a nice little way to get us back some life. We'll keep attacking though, because they are on 17, and we need to keep plugging away at their life total. And we finally find a Steal spell, but it's unfortunate because the opponent doesn't have any creatures I want to steal. So this is certainly going to be a war of attrition here. Who can get the bigger board state? Curse of Leeches. Alright, I mean, that's good for them. They're going to constantly be gaining life. They're going to be constantly doing damage to us. They're certainly hiding behind their life gain here. And without all this life gain, they would have absolutely died. We can block one of these Mirrex tokens. And let's bring back probably Gix. We'll see what we draw. We'll get Gix. We'll just hold back on the Voice of the Blessed at the minute. And I guess we could use Gix's ability here. Let's go for it. We can discard 4 cards. Opponent GG's us. I don't know if that means we're dead and they've got something crazy in their hands. But let's get rid of 4 cards and let's play the top 4 cards of their deck. Virtue, Bats, Land, Feast, and they scoop it up. They don't like that one. Alright then, on the draw. And I'm going to keep this because we have the Soulripper, a card that will rotate out shortly, but if you've got a couple lying around which you might have in your collection from the last couple of years, this could be the time that you get a chance to play it in Standard before it goes. If you were to replace that card, I'd go for something like a Hearse, which acts as a vehicle that we can use the opponent's creatures to crew up with, but also way to deal with opponents' graveyards. They did play a Gala Greeters, so they could go wide, which is probably the nemesis of our deck. That and maybe mono red. Rocco Street Chef for them. Okay, they get in there with their Greeters. And a one-off copy of Ob Nixilis. I'm in an RM whether to put that in the deck. It works really nicely if you can casualty your opponent's creature to make a second copy of Ob Nixilis, but you do need quite a lot of mana on your turn to do that. It works really well with a very large Urabrask's Forge token as well. So I've just got the one copy. Originally I had 3 in my older deck of this version, but opponent with 2 Gala Greeters now. Okay. And Gleeful Demolition to make a ton of goblins. Okay, we're going to need our Deadly Cover-Up next turn, which we luckily have in our hand for these kind of reasons. So they are popping off, as you like to say. But yeah, I mean, what do we do here? There's no point us stealing any of their creatures, which we can't do anyway. So let's just destroy everything. Luckily we have our treasure available, and reset the board. We're looking for them to play a big creature that we can steal over the next few turns. Charming Scoundrel is not that. Okay, they make a wicked roll. But we're still on 15 life. This is going to be able to attack us. Another Gleeful Demolition, alright. And a load more goblins for us to want to deal with. We find a swamp. Alright, let's get this Soulripper down in case we want to use that later. We have Corrupted Conviction available. There are other sacrifice spells you could pop into this deck where you can sacrifice artifacts. But from my experience, the 2 mana needed to do that isn't always viable in our deck. So go for that if you want to, but I took them out and just went for the convictions instead. We go down to 9. Find Take for the Ride. Okay, I mean, Take for the Ride a 1/1. It's not the greatest in the world, but it's better than nothing. We'll attack our opponent here, and we can sacrifice it. Unfortunately, we couldn't use the Soulripper. Not that I would have on this particular turn anyway. As we get to draw a card with our journal, and it is a mountain. Alright, so we can make some Sokenzan tokens next turn. Then we can maybe convict those, Corrupted Conviction those. But this looks like a difficult game as they have a beside you to deal with our Soulripper. Okay, well that finds us a land. And that actually enables us to bring out the Sokenzan now. Or to use Sokenzan, but also I guess we can use our land here to block one of these 1/1s. So this worked out pretty well for us actually. It's to take care of one of these goblins. Unless they have a spell available in their hand. Which they do. It's a Ganjo. Alright, well, we will sack our land here. Another journal and a land. Wow, we really are flooding out a little bit in this particular game. No Urabrask's Forge, which is kind of our win condition against these type of decks. Where we just hang in there, stay in the game, and then let our tokens do the work. But we have our Sokenzans available. Stimulus package for them. We can always transform our journal, but there's no creatures in our deck, so that doesn't really work. We can play the Sokenzan here, and I think we'll block 1. And we'll sack the other. They scoop it up, okay. Alright, don't know why they did that. Okay, so let's check the stats for this deck over on untapped.gg, and as you can see, our Steal and Sack deck here went a straight up 6-0. We did really well. Didn't come up against any like mono red decks or go wide decks, but we can all kind of guess how that might get on with our deck. However, we did play 3 Orzhov decks. One I didn't show in the video as I've got to press record, so I showed an extra game from testing. And you can only beat who is put up in front of you, and we did go 6-0, so I'm extremely happy with that. Bringing up Arena here to show you our deck and some extra cards you could put in and out of the deck. You could put in something like Eret's Tempting Apple, which can gain you some life, or you can actually shoot your opponent for 3 life. It's another way of stealing your opponent's cards. There are some creatures you can bring in if you wanted to. I really wanted a creature-less deck, But Braids, Thrill Seekers, Callous Sellswords, fantastic ways of sacrificing your opponent's creatures, and great cards to bring in if you don't have any copies of the journal or you're looking to replace something like a Soulripper when this card rotates out. Other cards you could play, something like Push Pull, almost like another win condition, as you can pull 2 creatures from your opponent's graveyard, but they do sacrifice at the end of turn, so you are kind of relying on them having some threats you want to bring back out. And lastly, I just want to mention Fanatical Offering. It's a really nice card. It does sacrifice a creature or an artifact. You then draw 2 cards and create a map token, so you might be able to sacrifice the map token with another one. The problem I found in testing is the 2 mana is not always viable, so I did go for the cheap Corrupted Conviction, but by all means bring in Offering if you want, because you can sacrifice your journal, you can sacrifice your blood tokens, etc. But until I start losing some games, I'm not going to make any changes to the deck. So to check out my stats for this video and all the decks I play, the link to my untapped.gg is listed in the description, and that's where you'll also find a link to download the deck tracker for yourself. You'll get to track your stats, see the top decks being played, and maybe find a deck or 2 that you can make with your collection. It is all over there on untapped.gg. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, supporting the channel as we grow, and I'll catch you again in the next video.